I would say everything went about as well as could be expected.
Yeah.
Airport food, it's fine. I was always able to find stuff like hard-boiled eggs and like little
Yep.
containers of like vegetables and the only thing about the trip that I had to like use a little self-control was the actual event.
Okay.
They had
In
they
what
had like
sense?
they had like well, I mean they had great food. They had like something similar to like Chipotle, I guess. It was like
Okay.
this spread of like there was pita bread and there was meats and vegetables and all that good stuff. But then later in the afternoon, they had like this tray of cookies and they looked really good. Didn't have any. But then they had it was like sometime in the afternoon. I walked out and they had put this really nice spread on the table and it was like yogurt and granola. And I'm like, this looks amazing, but this is
Mm-hmm.
where I could get in deep shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
People don't realize that, like, once you start eating well and making the right choices,
Yeah.
you can eat too much of the good things,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it's like, and then it becomes hard because it's like, well, if you want to be a good host, if you want to put things out and things like that, but you're just tempting people, and then
Uh,
you have to use your willpower to like not do it.
I was like, those
Hard.
chocolate chip cookies looked amazing. And when you're stressed and you're nervous,
Yeah.
that's the first thing I go to,
Yeah.
to try and get something like, whatever it is. But yeah, I had to use some major self-control.
That's
Did
good.
really well over the weekend. I even went to this restaurant on Monday. Have you ever
Mhm.
heard of Paula Deen?
No.
She's like this Southern chef, and it's all like Southern comfort food.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I went to her restaurant thinking I could make good choices, which I did.
Hmm.
But again, like, man, they feed you well. They bring everything out and like everything is like in its own bowl. So
Mm.
even if you order enough for one person, it's coming out in these bowls. And I'm looking at this table. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am never going to be able to eat all this. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's taken my whole life to be able to look at a table or look at a meal and be like, you know what? It's okay if you can't finish all this. You're not going to get
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to leave stuff on the table. It's all right. But that's
Yeah.
taken my whole life to get to that point.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you've gotten there.
Yeah.
Did you take any take home?
No.
Okay. So you just left it
Well,
there.
that was an interesting thing about the restaurant. They don't let you take anything out of there. There's no takeout. Yeah.
Okay.
So that what they do is they keep bringing it to the table and you can basically keep saying, "Hey, I want more. I want more." You can have as much as you want, but there's no like doggy bag.
Well, yeah, but so could you order like half portions, or like how did like you have to make sure that you're
Yeah,
splitting
so they
with
bring out
someone? Like
like
if
so
it's
they
your
bring
first
out
time there.
yeah, okay, so here's how the menu works. You look at the menu and it's you order for 1 or if there's 6 people at your table, you order for 6 and you get 2 proteins and then 4 sides. 4 So then you get to choose between all the different types of things. So I just stuck to veggies, broccoli, green beans. I think there was a poppy salad. What else did I have? Some roasted Brussels sprouts. And then the meats I chose. The closest thing I could find that was healthy was like this baked chicken
Mm.
for the protein. And then the other one was like, it was almost like a meatloaf. So I'm sitting at the table and I'm scraping the stuff on the top because it came with like this caramelized onion
Yeah,
breading.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, oh man. So I'm scraping all the stuff off the top of this meatloaf meat thing. And I just eat the meat. But again, when you're in those situations, you could be thinking that you're making really solid choices, but I don't
Mhm.
know everything they put in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and that's where like you kind of have to let go a little bit.
I know.
Like, so let's say, and this is like one type of restaurant, but could you have had like like an extra plate where you could have put everything on your plate and just eat that plate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they
Because
bring you a plate and then they
okay,
bring you all the
all the
bowls. So
bowls.
then you
Okay, okay, okay.
choose, so what I did, and that's essentially what I did. I took my
Yeah.
plate, I filled up half of my plate with the protein. And then I just filled it with vegetables. And then when the plate got full, like that was it. But I'm looking
That's it,
out
yeah.
at the table. There was so much left over. I'm like, Athena, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And I was fine. But, when I get home and I got on the scale within a couple hours, honestly, not because I was paranoid. I was actually super excited thinking I did all these extra steps. I was on key right before I left, and I'm like, I'm going to show some major progress. No, nothing. And it was up dramatically. And I'm like, holy shit. I was like, I'm not getting on the scale again till this weekend because I knew what it was. I got bloated on the plane. My legs were swollen. That's just what happens when I fly. So I was like, I'm not going to check it till the weekend. But even after I checked it on Saturday, it still took an additional 3 days for it to come back to where it was.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that sucks.
It's so this is a good thing to note though, because this is where, I don't know about you, but like in the past, is that where you would like lose motivation or try to change your habits drastically so that you would like push your weight loss? Yeah. So we're playing the long game, right?
Yeah.
Things are going to move up and down. And this is where you just kind of have to have faith that like things will get back. But now you know how long it takes. And that's valuable information, because instead of being deflated and like, oh, it's not working or whatever, this is your body reacting to the travel, eating out, where you don't know exactly what was in salt content, like butter, like whatever. And so you have to give yourself and your body the grace to come back to homeostasis, come back to where it was, so that we can continue the weight loss. So if you know that it takes 3 days, 4 days, now we can just learn to be patient with that information, right? And not be scared of the scale, because like you have to give your body the time, and you don't want to overswing and overcompensate, and then we're just creating problems down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, like this, for whatever reason, I couldn't figure it out, because when I went and saw my last coach in Chicago, this didn't happen. I didn't swell up at all, didn't gain a single pound. And I'm like, what was so different? And the only thing I could figure out is while I was in the air 3 times longer. So that's the only thing I could figure. We're talking 2.5 hours versus 30 minutes. So I was like, that's probably why.
So
but
you
it
can
was
know,
weird.
because when you do your seminars, and that will be good for you to keep track. So now we have like a 30-minute flight versus a 2-hour flight, versus if you go overseas or if you take like a 6-hour flight, like, and which is fine, right? We just need that information so we can rationalize what is happening, and just know that, let's say you go like on a 5-hour flight, and then you come back and it might take 7 days or 10 days. It's like, now we just know we have to be patient and get back on the habits, and not try to overswing and then try to get back on our habits. Like the quicker you get back on your habits, the better it is for the long run.
I came back and I was a little bummed for like the first 12 hours. I'm like, this sucked. Because I strongly dislike seeing any raise in the number. And I know better, like I know that's what my body's going to do. But every time it happens, it's like, so it took like 12 hours. And then I'm like, well, you're right. This is a long game. I'm just going to like not get on the scale till after the weekend, and it's just going to be what it is.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, don't ignore those feelings, and like, it's fine to have them, because you are putting in a lot of work, and you want to be honest with yourself. Like, it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to have those emotions.
Yeah.
We just don't want those emotions to start affecting our decision making.
True.
So like, it's okay. Like, it's normal. Like I'd be more concerned if you were like, oh, I don't care that I gained the weight on the scale, right?
Never.
Like, So this is a normal reaction, and you can sit with it and like have it. And then it's like, okay, but don't let it affect your future decisions and how you're going to impact like the rest. So we can definitely see how different flight lengths and just like traveling in general is going to affect your body, and then try to make plans based on the length of like those flights and things like that. Like, do we need to make sure that we're doing a little bit more before or a little bit more after, or can we do things during the seminars, which I'm guessing is no, and that's not when you want to be adding more stuff to your schedule. So we can start planning in terms of like, well, do we want to have a little bit more exercise, or can we fit in like the week before you travel, can you fit in like an extra 1,000 steps, because that would be 7,000 over a week, right? And that might like buffer a little bit that week. So you have like, you know, you're trying to go down, you know, you're coming back up, but at least it's not as high, and kind of play those games a little bit, and try and do it that way. Or same thing, when you come back, give yourself like a little boost. But we'll have to see how each travel kind of affects your body.
Super interesting. And I did put this in my notes, and that I'm thinking that the body was just, when I say stressed, I mean like flying is one thing, but then I get in, let's see, I was in Thursday night. Friday night, I left the seminar or the summit early on Friday and ended up rewriting half of my breakout session that night. So I'm up in the hotel. I'm pacing my room back and forth, trying to memorize this new script. Ended up staying up till almost midnight. Get up, you know, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I think what happened is that the body was just stressed. I didn't get enough sleep during the weekend. And then I'm flying. And then again, despite you can look at everything visually, map out everything visually, just like you would, you're still probably getting extra calories because you don't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, for sure.
When I went to Paula Deen's, I'm like, you know damn well there's salt and butter in here that I don't put in my stuff at home.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get it.
Yeah. It's a normal consequence.
Yeah.
Do you do that often? Like rewrite or like
No.
Okay.
No. I was sitting there it's the first time I'd done a breakout. So when we got the ask, it was almost like, how do you take an 8-hour seminar and then pull out one section and then try to make it super impactful for that 45 minutes? Because it's spread over 8 hours and there's really cool stuff in each block. Yeah. But I'm sitting there, I'm listening to these other speakers. It wasn't making a comparison game with the other speakers. It was more like, I need to tell this hour differently, because I was seeing some of the reactions that the other speakers were getting. I'm like, shit. So that's when I decided, I need to change some stuff around. It was very last minute, totally unexpected. It worked.
Okay.
And I think it worked really well. But did I get enough sleep? Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
So, and this is going to be like a tricky question.
What?
Would you have rather not change anything, go to bed early, come back and potentially not see any weight gain, or keep, like, let's say sleep affected the whole scale, okay? Would you rather not change anything and have a lower amount on the scale, or do what you did, change it, not sleep, have a higher amount on the scale?
I would not change a thing.
Okay.
Because I walked out of there so proud. So I wouldn't have changed a thing. Even if I had gone up 10 and stayed at 10, I still would have been like, you know what? It was worth it.
Good. So, and this is always the game. It's always a matter of choice.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have the choice to go out and eat, but you do have the choice of what you're going to eat and how much you're going to eat. You had the choice of doing it or not doing it. You did it. Yeah. And this is where, like, again, when you get back on the scale, like, you have to be okay with the consequences, right? And this is where people sometimes, like, they'll make a choice and then they get on the scale and then they regret or they're not happy. And it's not, if everything is in line with your values and what you want to do, then it's just a question of getting back on track.
Yeah.
If you would have told me I regret it or I would do things differently, this is now where we need to change something in the future. What is going to be our process in the future? But if you're okay with making those choices, knowing the consequence of, because sleep is important, you noticed it.
It is.
It is important, but there's also other things in life. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more patient. I know I'm going to need some extra days when I get back, right?
Mhm.
Weight loss is not linear. We know. I wish it would be, but it's not because there's things that are going to happen. So just be mindful of that next time you travel or next
Yeah.
time you have to make a choice that is going to impact your sleep routine, your nutritional routine, like all of that. And know now we have it, know what the consequence is. And this is what you're weighing,
Yep.
right? Am I willing to delay some gratification in my weight loss because this is in line with, it has to be in line with your values and what you want and what you're getting out of it. And if the answer is yes, then we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's important.
No, I wouldn't take anything back. Even, even going out.
Yeah.
If I know that I'm visually making the right decisions and I'm choosing the very best of what they have,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah. So now where are we at in terms of like getting back on your routine, getting back on your night routine? Like how long did that take?
Over a week.
Okay.
A little over a week. Night routine is going great. In fact, I started building a morning routine. I used to have one, but I wasn't as, for some reason I stopped and I don't know why. I have the routine of like, well, right. I have this routine of like getting up now and doing the workout, but there's other things that I want to do in the morning. The night one is working so well that I'm like, okay, I need a morning one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that became critically important, because I have to allot time,
Oh,
so I got to, now I was like, now I got to find study time. Like, where am I going to put that?
okay.
So I was like, what if, I was like, what if? So I was talking to a friend of mine who took the test and I was like, I want to focus on like the videos. I'm like, well, why can't I listen to those videos while I'm out walking? It's an hour and a half. So I was like, okay, it's just time to start doubling up on things and start being more effective with that time. Instead of like walking around, listening to music, I could be studying. I was like, this is beautiful. So yeah, so we're going to have to do some adjustments on the routines to accommodate study time, but no big deal. And then I want to get a little bit more refined on my morning routine, but the night one's going great.
Perfect. So let's start with that morning routine. What time do you usually get up?
Like usually like 4:45. Well,
and then what's the first thing that you do?
Assuming that I'm in bed by 9:30. The first thing I do, I make my bed.
Okay. Then
so I get up, I make my bed. I go in the bathroom, I brush my teeth, and then I change into my workout clothes. And then I get ready for my workout. And then by 5 o'clock, I'm usually heading out to the box. And then I start with like, warm-ups or specific warm-ups, that kind of thing.
And how long does your workout or like being out takes?
I mean, I'm usually out there the full hour. It's usually, sometimes I can get back in at like 5:45.
Okay. So let's plan for a 60 minutes because that would be the longest that you would be out. Okay. So 60 minutes. Then what?
It depends. If I have sometimes I'll have like early morning meetings and then I've got to like go in and take a shower. If I don't, and there's not like an 8 o'clock that I have to get ready for, then I go out and do some LSD. So normally what I do is I break it up. But now, instead of breaking it up like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at lunch, 30 minutes after dinner, what I started doing now what I'll start doing is I'll take that hour and a half at lunchtime, use that to study.
Okay.
Or I haven't played with it enough, but maybe I'll take that 30 minutes in the morning, use that for study time, and then do my hour at lunch.
So if you're done your workout at 6 a.m., your meetings are at 8?
Sometimes.
Okay, so you have 2 hours there.
Yeah.
What happens? Are you having breakfast? You said you showered, like obviously if you have meetings, but
That 2 hours is what I keep piddling away.
yeah.
I mean, it's just like Athena playtime, but I think I could use it
Okay.
more effectively. Like I'm usually like I'm doing nonsense. I'm usually like responding to stories on Instagram or nonsense.
But those are things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do, but I burn an awful lot of time.
We all do. Damn the internet. Okay, so we know. So let's start figuring that out. You don't always have meetings, but let's say that's going to be your anchor and you have a meeting. So those 2 hours is what we need to organize between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are
So,
non-negotiables? Taking a shower, how long does that take?
so like taking a shower, blow drying my hair, adding some
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
curls. That usually takes like an hour.
Check.
Takes forever to blow dry my hair. So you figure like an hour to get ready for your day.
Okay.
The other hour is what I can probably fit in more stuff.
Okay.
So
So
like
would
some of
you
the
rather
yeah,
do block it off in 15-minute segments, or do you prefer to do 2 30-minute segments?
30-minute segments are better
Okay.
because then I can just bust it out and get it done.
Okay, so we have 2 30 minutes that you can do whatever you want with. Pick
Yeah.
2 things. Do you want to be on Instagram and respond and have 30 minutes there? You can. You're going to want to anyway, so
I can. Yeah. But there's other stuff in the morning. Like I need to make sure that I'm setting like my MITs for the day. So like most important tasks. So I'll sit down and figure out, name 3 things that you have to get done today. And so I organize that and I use this little program called Athena. And then I plug it into the calendar. Okay, it's one thing to set it, but then I have to choose when are you doing it. So I set up my calendar for the day. I see like what's coming up. Do I have to talk to anybody? Do I have any meetings? Do I have appointments? So that's kind of what I use that time for now. I mean, it's effective.
Okay. So would that actually take 30 minutes?
Probably like 15 minutes.
Okay. So we'll be safe. I'm going to put 20.
Yeah.
So now we just saved 10 minutes.
Yep.
Do you want to take that 10 minutes to be online or no?
No, I probably need to focus on getting in my pretty meal for the day because I got a little lax about doing my pretty plates. I'm always eating, but that was supposed to be my hard for the day, like my fallback hard for the day if I didn't do it something later on in the day. And I need to get back to that so that I always
Are you
have
still
it.
doing your something hard?
Yeah.
And it's just not okay. So okay.
Something hard has usually been more on the physical side, especially over the last couple weeks, like try to string together some lunges or try to get a longer run. Like I've built up to like 200 meters at a time. Like I know I can go further.
All right. So we'll put for that 10 minutes that we just got back, I'm gonna put getting your pretty meal picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that can change. That can change. So we have that 10 minutes. We still have another 30 minutes to plan. What do you want to do in that second 30 minutes?
Well, maybe I can allow myself some fun time.
Okay. So fun time. So
yeah,
that could be Instagram. Is there anything else that you want to that you would like? I don't reading, listening, like watching television, like I don't know, like anything. You can do anything in that 30 minutes. That is yours. What would
it shock you if I said I never watch TV hardly ever?
Yeah, you told me before.
I'm usually on my computer, so it's not good or bad. It's just I never watch TV. Okay, so let me look at my app. Okay, so in the morning I'm supposed to be this is important. I can't forget about this. I'm supposed to be doing like my daily affirmations and like my grateful.
Okay, can you do that in the shower?
I could. Okay. Yeah, I could be doing that at the same time.
So just like you're doing your LSD and studying for your L3, we're going to do the affirmations in the shower.
Okay, then I still have the half an hour because I can do that all at the same time. Why didn't I ever think of that? Jeez Louise, I waste so much time.
I mean, we don't, it's just our time isn't organized, right? We're not as efficient, and we
Yeah.
just need to learn to be more efficient if we want to be able to do more things. So while you're
Yeah.
doing your shower, getting ready, that 60 minutes, that's also when you're going to do your affirmations.
Affirmations and grateful. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then that's the only thing else is on here. Like I have in here where I smile and I compliment myself in the mirror, but that takes like a minute. So I have
But
to
it still
like
needs to
give
get done,
myself
and
a
it still needs to get planned.
right. But I have it in here.
Perfect.
I have drink a glass of water. I say take my vitamins, but I only take one. It's just it's a like a fish oil.
Okay.
So I have a glass of water, take my vitamins, I do my affirmations and my grateful, I get showered, dressed, I smile and I compliment myself, and then I do my MITs. So that's what I'm supposed to be doing in the morning.
Okay.
But it doesn't take all the time that I have allotted for it. It just feels like I burn an awful lot of time in the morning messing around.
Are you making breakfast? I don't have breakfast anywhere near.
Yeah, making breakfast. That should be on there. I don't have it on here.
So how long does it, because you have taken your picture, but that assumes that you're making breakfast. How long does that take?
So when I plan my meals, if it takes longer than 15 minutes, I replan it. So anything I cook needs to take 15 minutes or less.
So now we have 15 minutes to make breakfast. So let me go over this routine, and you let me know if this fits with everything that you have to do.
Okay.
Okay. So we're waking up at 5:45. You're making your bed, going to the bathroom, putting on your workout
4:45.
clothes. 4:45. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then going out to the box. So the box is going to be 5 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yep.
Right. Assuming we have a meeting at 8, and we're making that constant, we have 6 to 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In that 6 to 8, 1 hour is devoted to I'm going to say personal grooming. So shower, hair, getting all of that. You're going to do your affirmations while you're taking your shower, blow drying your hair.
Yes.
You have to smile. You compliment yourself in the mirror. All of that is in that hour.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have, and this is what we can play around, 20 minutes for your MIT. Then breakfast, or we can do breakfast first. So you decide where. So 20 minutes for the MIT, 15 minutes for breakfast, 10 minutes to get your picture, and that leaves us 15 minutes for fun time. And those are 2 hours.
I mean, that's it. Maybe I wasn't wasting as much time as I thought I was.
No, it takes that amount of time.
It does.
Right? Now, do you wash and blow dry your hair every day?
Just about.
Okay. So, and I'm not saying you need to do this, but if you were to if you were to wash your hair every other day, how much time would you save?
30 minutes.
So this is where if you want to do an LSD in the morning, you'd have that 30 minutes. And then again, like it depends how that's going to make you feel. You have long hair, and I know also all of that, but if you want to wash your hair every day, it's a non-negotiable. Then it's a non-negotiable. But if you can go 1 out of 2, then we're gaining 30 minutes. And this is where do you want to have more fun time, which is fine, or do you want to fit in more LSD, or do you want to fit in another task? Like if you don't need to save that time, then take that time for yourself. Do your shower.
I probably will just leave that time alone then. For some reason, it just felt like I was just squandering it in the morning. But when I'm looking at everything, I'm like, I'm really not.
No.
So I will save the majority of the LSD. If I can fit it in the morning, I'm feeling adventurous, I'll do it. But if not, I have that time during lunch to get in the hour and then the 30 minutes right after, work time before dinner to get the other half an hour. So and then I've got an hour and a half of LSD time, which is also an hour and a half of studying that I'm doing at the same time. We'll see how that works this week. It'll be the first time I've done that. I don't know why it would be any different. The only thing different is I'm just listening to videos instead of music.
So the only thing, so this is where we'll get into that. But now that we have your morning routine, right, we'll test that out. And again, you can put breakfast before MIT. You can move things around. You want to do all of that and then take your shower, because that's the other thing too. And I'm not saying again that you would want to, but if you have breakfast, if you do all those things, as time is moving forward, you know you need an hour. So you won't be able to stay online or do whatever, because now you can't blow dry your hair. Like, you're going to run out of time. So this is where you can like move things around to force yourself into starting and stopping certain tasks.
Okay. So here's what I think is happening. I need to be honest with myself here.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. So here's what's happening. I think what's happening is it's pushing into more like 9 o'clock. I'm messing around in the morning on Instagram, do, and then it pushes everything out, and then I'm not actually getting started till more like 9.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah. So when you have a meeting, you have like a hard deadline. So that's why I'm saying, like, pretend you have a meeting every morning.
I have a hard deadline every day, is what you're saying.
A hard deadline every day. And this is where I'm saying, like, if we switch this shower and everything else, you're going to have to stop so that you can get into your shower and do everything, because that is a hard hour.
Okay. So then we'll put the hard stop at that morning routine at 7 o'clock so that I am ready to go by 8 a.m. regardless.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah. So just make sure, like, I don't know what time you usually have breakfast, but now if we're switching it from like a 7:30 to a 6:30, because we're doing all the grooming after, will you be able to last until lunch, right? Because that hour is going to affect when you get hungry for lunch, when you get hungry for supper. So we can switch things temporarily to make sure that like we get that routine in, and then we can re-switch them. Like, nothing needs to be permanent, but it's just like making sure that we block you in terms of like making sure things get accomplished. So that's going to be up to you. You can test different things and see what works, but we have 20 minutes for MIT, 15 minutes for breakfast, 10 minutes to eat, take that picture, 15 minutes for fun time, 1 hour for shower and everything else. Those are our 2 hours.
The key here is that if I want to save more time and have more fun time, then that's that hour of getting ready that I get to decide, are you going to blow dry your hair today? Or are you going to throw it up in a bun? Whatever.
Yeah, which is fine, right?
Which is fine.
And this is where you can get more time if you want. And that's the thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with being on Instagram or answering or like being on your computer and doing the things that you enjoy doing. It's just when it starts putting pressure and stress on everything else, that's what we don't want. So that's where being organized is going to help. But knowing that when you do certain things like your breakfast, that's going to affect when you have lunch. So that becomes important. So that's why we want to be organized, because we don't want things to be moving around all the time and then not being able to time when you're going to have lunch and time when you're going to have supper, because that's going to play with your night routine. So we want to make sure that morning and night is organized so we can plan the meals as best as we can.
So here's what I do so that I could get in my LSD time at lunch. And really quick, I'll answer this one. When do you weigh yourself? I weigh myself first thing in the morning before I have any coffee or anything. It's the very first thing I do. What I do is in the morning when I'm prepping my breakfast, I put it all together for lunch. So I'll put it in the pan if something needs to get tossed in the oven, so it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So that like 30 minutes before I'm supposed to eat, I'll run down, toss it in the oven or throw it in the pan so that that's cooking. So I'm multitasking. And the funny thing is, Carol mentioned this just a second ago, and she's like, time management is key. Like, you have, like, this is like one of those things, like, you're trying to accomplish a big goal. Like, you don't realize how important time management is. We always say, oh, I don't have time. You have time if you
organize it. Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to be, like, she's right. You know, like, you got to be super freaking disciplined with it. It's hard because shit comes up.
Yeah.
You know, like the other day I get this phone call at like 11 o'clock. I'm like, oh, Athena, we need help with this. And I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't part of my schedule today.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, like, if you have the routine, then you can be flexible and like, because everything is already organized. So you can reorganize it. But if it's not organized, then things are just going to fall over. And this is where, like, Yeah.
Yes. Well, when was it? The day before yesterday. I wrote Pete a text and I was like, Pete, today was a legitimate shit show. First time I didn't get to my workout in the morning because something came up.
Yeah.
And I had to address it. But I was like, anytime that I do not do that workout in the morning, it becomes 10 times harder to get it done at night because I've got other shit happening. And that's exactly what happened. Didn't get to it. It was the first time I didn't get to a workout in a long time. And then I felt guilty.
Yeah.
And then I had to leave and drive. And then I didn't have my gym. So then he's texting me and he's like, well, that's the beauty of CrossFit. You don't need equipment. You can still do burpees and squats. And I'm like, shit, you got me.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
you're
can always,
absolutely right.
and that's like, we're not chasing perfection. We're chasing consistency. Right.
Right.
So like,
do
even
something.
if you miss, even if you miss one workout, like it sucks because like it's going to throw you off in terms of like, you know, how you're feeling for the rest of the day and all of that.
So true.
But it's not because you missed one workout that you should be missing a second, right? So you just want to get back on the horse the next day if you can. And Pete is right. Like I always tell people, like if you're traveling or, you know, you run out of time, you can always do an EMOM.
Yeah.
You do 20 minutes. That first round is your warm up. You choose 4 movements. It's 5 rounds. So you'll have 1 warm up round and 4 rounds. And you can plan all those movements and at least you feel like you moved and at least you can check that box of like, I did something. I did a workout, right? Or you can do an AMRAP. Like it's one or the other. Don't do 4 time because then you need to choose and this and you don't know how long it's going to take. EMOM or AMRAP, you choose 2 to 3 movements. If it's an EMOM, I like 4 movements because like feels a little bit more entertaining. And then you check that box and then you're good. You're good to go. And you don't need more.
True. Pete was like, he's like, Athena, I don't care since you missed this. He was like, I don't care tomorrow morning, even if you can't go to the gym because I was traveling for work.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't care if you don't have any equipment, even if it's 5 minutes. Like do the practice anyway, just so that it gets it in your head and you'll feel better and it's going to help you. He goes, I don't care if it's for 5 minutes. And I did it.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, yeah. The EMOM option works really good.
The other thing that I wanted to address in terms of your LSD, if you're going to be studying. So I know you have like the heart monitor and things like that. Just be mindful that if you're listening to music, it's more upbeat and you're going to walk and you're going to be in a certain heart rate zone. Cause like,
true.
If you're studying, because now your brain is processing information on top of walking, like doing whatever else you're doing, you might be slower, which means your heart rate is going to be slower, which means you're not burning as many calories.
I forgot about that because you're not going to be moving as fast.
Yeah, you might not be moving as fast. So you need to make sure that you kind of check in on your heart rate, check in on, and this is not a bad thing. Like you can be in zone 2, but like depending on the type of information that you're processing, it might force, like you're going to notice it. You're going to slow down. We all turn down the radio when we're parking, right? Like everybody, we all know how to park, but it's just like too much information flooding our brain. We're like, and then I can park. So it's going to be the same thing. Your body's going to slow down because it's still trying to process the information up here. So maybe this is like, okay, I'm going to like, as you're doing your LSD and studying, skip the ones that you're noticing that you need more attention and get back to those.
Good idea.
Right? Because you're still using your LSD to get those footsteps, get those calories burnt, like all of that. So if we diminish the intensity there, that's going to affect your weight loss. Again, which one would you rather have? Because it's one or the other. Do we want to focus on the weight loss for the LSD? Or are we just trying to combine two things so we can be more efficient with our time?
I'm trying to combine 2 things. I can be more efficient.
Okay,
now,
so then the expectation is, and you're gonna lose potentially less weight per day per week because the LSD is not going to be as intense.
Well, I could set the timers to go off on the thing when it tells me that I drop below a certain level. It'll ding in my ear.
Yeah,
you know, and then just pick it up and be mindful that that's going to be happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But I know how long it takes me because I've done it so many times now.
Okay, good. Yeah.
That I know where I should be.
Yeah.
I think that'll be easier to watch just because this has been solidified over the last like couple months
Good.
now.
Good. So then if you know your paces, know where you should be, you have your markers, you set it on your
Yeah.
watch, like in your earphones, then that's fine. Then you should be able to stay at that intensity. If you do notice that you keep slowing down, we might need to select study material that is just easier to digest. Like some of them are heavy. Like some of them you're like, okay, hold on. Like I need to be like actually paying attention. And some
Yeah.
of them, because they're more the concept have been talked about, like just in a CrossFit space, like they're just easier to digest. So like just
True.
be mindful that not everything that you'll be studying is at the same difficulty level. So there's certain things you might just be like, okay, I need to skip this because like it keeps dinging or like, you know, you're paying too much attention. So it's the only thing because you can combine.
You know, I don't think this is going to be the only time I study is
No,
during
no,
that
no.
hour and a
Yeah.
half, but you're right. If I'm just a little bit more methodical about choosing which ones during LSD, then I can save the tougher ones for that hour at night, because then I can get, you know, that hour and a half to 2 hours a day of study time and then leave the harder stuff for at night.
Yeah.
And I'll know it when I start playing it. Just skip it and come back to it.
Yeah.
I think I can manage that one pretty well.
I'm just taking notes.
No, it's
So
good. I was just thinking through that.
So our next step, our focus for the next 3 weeks, make sure
Yeah.
you set your alarm for the LSD. Make sure we're staying in the right heart rate zone and like staying
Right.
consistent in terms of distance and all of that.
Yep.
So that it like as you study, you're still staying in the zone for your LSD. Because that's so the primary goal is the LSD, not the studying. We're trying to combine the two. But the
Right.
focus
Check.
is the LSD.
Okay.
Okay. And then first we have to start doing the morning routine and then we can optimize it. So like I said, do you want to take your shower first
See
or
how it
second?
goes.
Do you want to finish with your breakfast or like do you want to be on Instagram first? Like we have those 20 minutes, 15, 10, 15. You can organize those however you would like or need.
Okay.
But we need to start doing the morning routine before we can optimize it. So just
Okay.
get started. Anything else that we need to address for the next 3 weeks to stay on task?
The only thing is, you know, there seemed like I put in the update, it seems like there was a little bit of lag on the weight loss. I think it's just travel.
Mhm.
So if I don't start seeing some better numbers over the next 3 weeks, I may have to take a look at my nutrition numbers. It may have to be adjusted because it
Mhm.
does, you know, like the first time I learned, like every 10 to 15 pounds, it needed to be adjusted
Yep.
because your body's need gets less and less.
Yep.
So I'm going to watch it and I'm just going to chalk it up to travel, at least right now. And then
Mhm.
if I don't start seeing some numbers again, then I think on our next check-in, we might
Yep.
have to adjust something.
Perfect. So let's start thinking about options now.
Yeah.
So we're not, what would you usually change?
I would usually change the calorie numbers. I wouldn't take it away from protein. I would usually take it away from my carb bucket.
Okay. And do you think that that strategy is going to work
I don't know.
again?
Don't know. Usually adjusting the calorie numbers usually works.
Are you feeling hungry right now throughout the day?
No,
Do you
no.
feel like you have enough energy in your workouts, like to push?
Right
Or
now,
do you feel drained? Do you feel like
no,
okay,
no. I usually have all kinds of energy.
okay,
Again, I slept right after I got back. I took like 2 naps during lunch, but again, I just chalked that up to I didn't sleep over the weekend. So it
yeah,
was like, I don't think that's a normal thing.
yeah. So we can start like, hey, through the next 3 weeks. Let's adjust everything. Give your body some time to come back, like you said, from the travel. And then if we want to do that, right, and change the calorie intake, are we also changing the type of foods that you're getting, like your carb sources?
I mean, right now, the only carb sources are really coming just from fruits and vegetables. What would I
Yeah.
change?
So, well, we could eat more vegetables versus fruit,
Oh,
right?
well,
Like in
that's an
the sense
idea.
that like because you'll need to eat like you need to eat way more grass, like greens, than apples or like colorful things.
Okay,
Um, and like
that
you'll
makes
get
more
sick of that. Like I always tell people, like you're feeling hungry because like I'm eating a salad. I'm like, you're eating air. You need
It's
like
true.
800 grams of salad before you get one block, right? Like you need to
Uh-huh.
eat so much. So in that regards of like, can we push the veggies a little bit more because you're still gonna get full. You're still gonna get. We can reduce the calories much easier because you just need to eat so much you're gonna get fed up before you get
It's
there,
true. It's true.
right? So
That's
it's
a good
more that in
strategy.
terms of like, can we make the choices in terms of because like we can't just keep removing stuff eventually. We need to switch, right? So instead of eating fruits, can we focus more on the veggies that will make you feel full? You'll still get
Yes.
all the nutrients that you get. And we'll still be cutting back on calories because, like I said, you're gonna get like it's a lot.
Good strategy. I eat a lot. Well, I mean, I say I eat a lot of fruit. I eat a lot of berries and apples.
Which
Sometimes an
isn't
orange,
a bad choice. And this is where,
No.
like, well, do you want to eat half an apple or do you want to eat the full apple? And it sounds funny, but like I'll just give you an example. So someone I know, I'm not going to give names. Someone I know, like I'm fine cutting an apple. Like I take like one block of apple in the morning. I put it in my oatmeal. So my apple actually lasts me like 2 to 3 days, depending on the size of the apple, because I'm only taking 60 grams, putting it in my oatmeal. Someone I know cannot do that. So once the fruit, whether it's an apple or banana, if it touches the air, if the inside touches the air, it needs to be eaten. So
Okay,
you
I'm the
can't do
same
that.
way.
Okay, so that's fine. So
The
that's
minute it
fine.
gets brown, I ain't eating it.
I don't mind a little bit of brown, and I put it back in the fridge, and so it stays kind of like nice and stuff.
I mean, I'll eat it later on in the day. It's about as good as it gets,
Okay, so
but
that
it's
gives us
not going to
options.
stay in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 days.
So this is where like knowing yourself and knowing your limits becomes super important.
Yeah.
So if you know that, right, then you can have like half a banana for lunch, half a banana for supper, right? But
That
we
makes
know
more
the banana
sense.
needs to get eaten instead of like having one for lunch, one for supper. So those are things
Okay.
that we can play around because you still want the fruit, you still need the fruit. But if we can reduce that, replace it with vegetables, then we're for sure lowering the calories, making good choices. But you need to be honest with yourself of like, well, if I'm not going to do that, then it requires a completely other strategy.
You know what? I just plan better on the fruit. So if there's days like that where we're going to start mixing the fruit, less fruit, more vegetables, then on those days, I wouldn't try to eat like this big old apple. I would move
Mm.
it to like strawberries or blueberries or
Yeah.
something that's
Okay.
easier to cut back.
Yeah. So that's a good alternative. So
Yeah.
like I said, we don't need to like, but it's going to be 3 weeks,
Okay.
so we can give ourselves another week and a half, see how the scale is moving. If you don't feel like it's moving in the right direction at the right pace for you, this is where we can already start making adjustments.
Okay.
I know you're noting everything down, so when we have our next meeting, we'll be ready with like option. How did you find it? Like, and we can keep moving in the right direction.
Okay.
Okay, so now you have options.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So track fruit and veggie.
I like that idea.
So those are our three main tasks. Making sure you're staying in the right heart zone for the LSD,
Okay.
optimizing your morning routine because the night one's going well. We just need to do it, optimize it, and then we can figure out the rest of the day. And then tracking for the next 3 weeks, tracking the fruit and veggies to see where that is going. And you already have
Okay.
some insight into changes that you might want to apply if the weight loss is not going in the right direction.
Okay.
Make sense?
Check.
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 Excellent.
I got it.
Yay. Anything else before we leave?
The only other thing that I was working on was trying to cut caffeine by 2 p.m.
Okay. So do you usually like go out for an extra cup of coffee? Do you make it at
No,
home?
I just make a ton of it at home. And I just
Oh,
noticed like I drink an awful lot of coffee.
so you
Like
make
a
like a
lot.
big pot in the morning and then you drink it throughout the day? Or
Yeah.
do you remake? Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes I'll remake it and make more coffee. And so I'm trying to like, I let my coffee get out of control. So I'm
But it
trying to
doesn't affect
stop by 2.
your sleep.
Uh,
Does it
Something
affect
that
your
I've
sleep?
never shared that maybe I should is I have borderline narcolepsy.
Yeah, you had told me. So it
So
doesn't, so you
maybe I
can
did
fall
tell you
asleep
that.
anytime.
Yeah. So caffeine doesn't affect me the same way it affects other people. It's not like
Okay.
I'm going to fall asleep at my desk or anything,
Yeah.
but that's kind of one of the benefits. Maybe it's a con of having it is that caffeine doesn't affect me the same way. But I mean, it's not good for your body, I think, to get that much caffeine. And who knows how much caffeine I'm getting. I don't know.
Um,
I should probably be more mindful though.
but you're drinking your water.
Yeah.
Do you put a lot of sugar in your coffee?
No, I don't put anything in it.
So it's just black coffee.
It's just black.
Okay. I put a lot of cream in my coffee, which I like and not going to change. Side note. So the only thing we need to be really mindful is that caffeine intake.
Yeah.
So again, we can like the caffeine is going to affect your sleep. So that's what we need to kind of monitor. So you can make less coffee in the morning. You're not allowed to remake coffee. See how you feel. Like honestly, if it's not affecting you, we don't need to make a blanket rule. Like if you want to have it sometimes or not have it, like
No, but
sure.
I think part of the benefits of this night routine is to get your body ready for sleep. And my
Yes.
brain isn't ready for sleep if it's jacked up on caffeine. So I think
Okay.
just for that portion by itself to help me keep on the schedule and help get my brain ready for that, then cut it off at 2. Like do yourself a favor, Athena.
So do
It's
it.
more like that.
Okay. So then we can just make smaller pots, or if you'd like to have it fresh, do 2 small pots. Like however you like your whatever you're making, like you can have one in the morning, you can have another one at lunch, but by 2 you can't have any more. So you just need to
Right.
reorganize it like that.
Stop drinking the shit after 2 o'clock.
So no more coffee after 2.
Yes.
No more coffee after 2. Cool. Yay. So we
And
have
that was it.
our plan. Send me those pictures when you do the groceries.
Yes.
Okay. And then I mean, I'm following you. I know what you're doing, but you can send me some updates. If there's anything in terms of like your weight going up, going down that you want to like send me an email, make sure that we can
If I
adjust.
notice it ahead
We
of
don't
time, yeah.
we don't have to wait for 3 weeks. Like you can send me an email, we can see, but we already have a plan in our back pocket in terms of fruit and veggies. So
Got it.
we have that. Cool.
Okay.
Yay.
All right.
I will see you soon. Have a
You
good
got
day.
it. I will. Lots of love.
You too. Bye.
Bye.